tunnels. They don't receive any food. You spoke about starvation. The only starvation in Gaza is the starvation of the hostages. That's
so you're denying that there are hungry children, babies dying. These are not my accounts. You won't allow journalists into Israel, but these are the accounts of British, American doctors, Israeli human rights groups, people who are in touch. Multiple times I've interviewed people on the ground working there. So you're denying the accounts of hundreds of doctors.
I listened to Mr. Tom Fletcher from the UN claiming that 14,000 Palestinian babies will die within 48 hours. Then he had to retract his words and apologize and acknowledge that it was not true. Aid is coming into Gaza today through two mechanisms, through trucks and through the US New Initiative, which distributed 2 million meals in the last few days. So
but you're not concerned at all, are you, that babies are dying then? Are you concerned at all by the images you see on Sky News' screens, on multiple screens of babies starving, babies dying, children escaping fires from Israeli airstrikes?
So as I told you earlier, I don't accept your claim that there is starvation in Gaza. I told you the only starvation is the hostages. We saw the way they came out. And by the way, when you look at the pictures on Sky News, you don't see people starving. But when I look at the hostages coming out from the tunnels, I see their faces emaciated. I met one of the hostages who lost 30 kilos while he was held in a tunnel. So now aid is coming into Gaza, and still.
But by your assumption that the Israeli hostages are starving, then so too that means other people are starving. The UN says people in Gaza are at the risk of imminent famine. Only 600 of the 900 trucks that were supposed to go in have gone in so far. We've seen the fallout of the kind of humanitarian aid that we're supposed to give. I tell you what, let's listen to what OCHA says.
Allow me to answer your claim.
Bear with me, Mr. Danon.
Something else. Allow me to answer your claim. The UN is playing a game here. The UN is not cooperating with the new initiative.
Ambassador to the UN. So you're saying you don't trust the UN?
No, absolutely not. Look what happened in the last 2 days. The US opened 2 logistics centers. They distributed 2 million meals, and the UN decided to boycott these efforts. Moreover, there were a few NGOs who decided to work with the...
Well, you won't allow UNRWA to distribute.
And the UN threatened those NGOs that they will take them out of the database of the UN if they will continue to cooperate. So I asked myself, do the people at the UN really care about the
Mr. Danon,
or they care about
bear with me. I want to bring you a clip from the spokesperson of OCHA, Jens Lurker. Let's listen to that together and then we'll talk again. Thank you.
Gaza is the hungriest place on earth. And the aid operation that we have ready to roll is being put in an operational straitjacket that makes it one of the most obstructed aid operations, not only in the world today, but in recent history.
Is the hungriest place on earth, Danny Danon?
So I would advise you to call this official to your show, Samia, and ask him why the UN decided to boycott the new initiative of the US.
They're saying that you have placed an operational straitjacket.
Why actually they are boycotting these efforts, and moreover, they are threatening the Palestinians not to cooperate. So the UN is actually working with Hamas, and they have the same goal to prevent aid from coming into Gaza. And two more.
So the whole UN structure, multiple nations that are represented by the UN, including your own, they are all against Israel, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying very clearly, the organization in Gaza, specifically OCHA and Mr. Tom Fletcher, they prefer to spread lies against Israel rather than promote humanitarian aid into Gaza. If they really care about the people in Gaza, they should cooperate with the US immediately. And by the way, next week, 2 more centers will be open in Gaza. And I expect UN NGOs to cooperate with this effort, not to boycott it.
And what about the 200,000 people that have been forced to move yet again, probably the 5th, 6th time that they've been asked to move by Israel? 200,000 people displaced in the last 2 weeks.
Sana, if you have an idea for us, how can we bring the hostages? I'm open to listen to that. but I know that there are only two ways.
Well, I'm not a negotiator. I don't represent Israel.
As I told you, there are two ways.
How do you think is
negotiation.
Best? Do you really believe
Israeli
airstrikes, the displacement of 200,000 people, the starvation that you deny of people, the Palestinian people, is going to bring your hostages home? Because the hostage families don't believe that. They have practically begged Prime Minister Netanyahu and your colleagues in the government, in the Knesset, to stop the bombings, if only not for the safety of the Palestinians, for the sake of the Israeli hostages.
So I meet the families of the hostages almost every week. You have different opinions. The government is determined to bring them back home. We prefer negotiations, but we are determined. If it doesn't work through negotiations, yes, we will use our military power to bring them back home. We cannot, our Jewish morality will not allow us to leave them behind. And the sooner the world will understand it, the faster this war will end. Putting pressure on Israel will not help this time. The pressure should be on Hamas to accept the ceasefire. There is an offer on the table. So I would advise you and others who are trying to push Israel to ask Hamas officials why they reject the offer which is on the table right now, which will allow...
As we do, and their concern is that Israel intends to occupy Gaza, which a number of your colleagues and counterparts in the Knesset have actually spoken out. So you, Mr. Danon, you deny starvation in Gaza. You haven't addressed the 200,000 people displaced. You don't seem to be concerned by Israeli airstrikes, which have killed more than 54,000 people. Right now, a conservative figure, more than 3,000 children killed. And you say that you want your hostages back. What next?
Samia, you keep repeating the numbers and those lies. And you can do it 50 times, it will not be the truth. Those numbers are not correct. It's coming from the Hamas. We don't accept it. I agree with you that there is suffering in Gaza, but I'm reminding you that the blame is on Hamas and it can end tomorrow.
But the suffering is acceptable.
It can end tomorrow morning. So if you people really care about Gaza, they should realize that Hamas should not be part of the equation.
Well, I think journalists care about everyone involved, including the hostages and the Palestinian people. The suffering, though, continues, doesn't it, Danny Danon? And that's the concern for everyone, hostage families and the Palestinian people. Finally, what about the fact that Martin Griffiths says that he believes this is a genocide? That's what he's told Sky News.
Well, that's a blood libel. I have no word for that. When you look at the definition of a genocide, you realize that you need the intention of killing. No one can blame us for intention. And you look at what happened, more than a year and a half. We have the military power to finish this war within a week or a month. We didn't do it because we apply our force and we take into consideration the population in Gaza. That is why it's so sophisticated, why it is so challenging. That's why it's taking us so long to finish this war. But we will continue to fight Hamas and to do our best to minimize civilian casualties. But as I told you earlier, we can end it tomorrow morning. There is a proposal on the table. The government of Israel accepted the proposal. Hamas rejected it again.